Biggie on sports. He says what they won't say. Tune in, connect, and hear a different perspective.
Welcome to Biggie on Sport, your episode where we educate and inform you about the sporting fraternity within our country. Last episode, we spoke about a myriad of issues affecting sport, especially in the football fraternity, where we hosted our guest, Ma Africa, who is a super fan of TS Galaxy. Today is no different, as we have a guest to focus on netball within netball fraternity. My guest is here, will be tackling those issues that affect netball in South Africa. And allow me to introduce my guest to you. Welcome, sir. Please share with the viewers your name, your surname, and where you're coming from.
Thank you very much. I am Neville Chapepa, as you all know out there.
Yes.
I'm a coach.
Yes.
I'm a teacher, a principal.
Wow.
I am a pastor. I am a national coach in netball.
Wow.
And of course, I'm a father of so many in the country, right in my family, and everybody else that I do take care of. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of things that I do. Maybe we'll get into that.
Wow. You're wearing so many caps, although we're going to be focusing on netball and will come along those other caps as we continue and progress with our conversation. Netball as a sport in South Africa is a sport which I may use the words disrespected, not taken seriously. Why do you think is that?
Firstly, I want to agree with you.
Okay.
It really looks disrespected in the country.
Okay.
Simply because if you look at the sponsorship level of the sport,
Yeah.
you realize it's mainly now on the national players. And when you look at the grassroots level, there is nothing that is happening. All those clubs down there are not sponsored. Parents are actually paying for their kids to get them into the national championships. And you will also find that clubs, the club owners, end up carrying all the burden of making sure they train the players and also carry them to other events that are called by Netball South Africa. So at the end of the day, there is nobody who goes to help those particular clubs at grassroots. If you think about all other organizations that are related to sport,
yes,
they are also standalone. They are not actually working together with the clubs. So basically, there's nothing for netball. If you look at soccer, you'll find there are professional clubs like your Kaizer Chiefs, your Pirates, and all other clubs that you have that you have looked at. They are sponsored, they have money, they have got people that are making sure that the club survives. But in netball, there's nothing like that. Yeah.
You are a head coach of Johannesburg Central Netball Club.
Correct.
Give us your background as to what attracted you to the sport, and when was the Johannesburg Central Netball Club formed? When was it incepted? And also, what attracted you to the sport? Because the viewers at home are listening, they want to know.
Yes.
Netball.
True. I'll just try and make it short. My friend, who was a teacher, was a netball coach, and I was a soccer coach.
Okay.
And we used to go out into playing another school. So the netball players would go in and play while the soccer boys were supporting the netball and the netball coach. And I began to understand what the coach is doing and how the game is played. At that level, when I left that school and went to another school, I found that there were 3 teams for soccer, and I wanted to be in soccer, but there were 6 coaches there, but there was no netball.
Okay.
So I then just said, you know what, I'll coach netball. So it just started there because I had a history of a male coaching netball and was doing very well.
And when was that?
Oh, that was like in 2002.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So then from there, when I came to Joburg, I found some 4 young ladies playing netball using a soccer ball. So I spoke to them, and we managed to start up a club right there. And this young lady, one of the first ladies there, is actually the president of Gauteng Netball.
Wow.
At this moment.
Okay.
Yes. So that's how it started. And obviously, when you start as a coach, you need to empower yourself. So I had to read the rules around netball because remember I had a soccer background.
Exactly.
And obviously the training was easier because I knew I would put them through their fitness, through the soccer ideas. Then I put them through into netball. So I read the books so much that I understood what needs to happen. And obviously I developed with time. Then I became a national umpire myself and a national coach.
Netball umpire.
Yes.
Wow.
At NSA level.
Okay. Okay.
So we were umpiring at when you have got maybe the national championship happening.
I see. Yes.
Then you go and umpire maybe KZN versus Gauteng, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the love just grew.
Yeah.
And of course, what I found out is that netball is addictive.
Yeah.
Once you are in netball, you never go out. You remain in there. You just want to continue and continue. So that is the attraction. It is just the love of seeing the players achieve within that small space and becoming maybe a provincial player or a national player. And that, it boils to say you need to keep on pushing. Sometimes you want to retire, but the little girl that you want to push to national will actually give you the encouragement to want to go through. And once you have put that one into national, there's another young one that's coming. You keep on rolling in the same space. So that's it.
Yeah. The team itself that you are a head coach of, apart from the challenges you have already alluded to, what are other challenges, especially facing your team? How do you keep the team sustainable?
Well, that's very difficult, as to say. To keep the team together, first you need to have a financial muscle. And a financial muscle that is not there in the team. So you, as a coach, you end up footing the bills of transporting these players to wherever they must go and play. Most of the time, parents actually sorry to say, our black parents.
Yes.
Most of them are not
supportive. Not supportive,
and
yes.
Obviously,
it's taken, it's given, it's known, it's known within the country.
Definitely.
Yeah, everybody from... my apologies to interject, is complaining about that.
Definitely. So now you have 30 players in front of you. You need to transport to Polokwane to go and play a tournament that is there. Now you ask them to bring something towards their transportation. They maybe, let's say, to go there is 200. This child rocks up and say, my mother gave me 50 rand. Nice. You understand? And you as a coach, you need to, and you need this player because if she's not there, your team then becomes weak. Now you end up making sacrifices on yourself and your family, and you take that money and put in there. I remember at one point actually hosting a tournament for the girls. I ended up paying 20,000 rand for the prizes and stuff. So you get sacrificed for being a coach in that because there's no support that you get. So it's really difficult.
Don't forget, this is a Biggie on Sport with our guest in the studio as we dissect and unpack issues affecting netball as a sport right here in South Africa, especially on the grassroots level. And thank you so much for watching as we continue with our chat with my studio guest. Are there any availability of facilities in terms of netball in Gauteng or in our country? Is there any sufficient facilities allocated for netball, just like it happens with tennis, just like it happens with soccer?
Well, let me say no. Most of the netball courts that are available are provided by the municipalities. And most of those grounds are not in good state. I'll give an example of where we are training. We are based in Yeovil Recreation Center. There is only one netball court Within that one netball court is also a basketball court.
It's catering for how many teams?
Yes,
Netball.
it's catering for all the community teams. So we need to now come up with schedules to say you are going to train on this day and stuff. While at the same time you've got tennis that has got 2 courts, which of course we think is underutilized. But we can't use it because now that's a preserve for tennis. So netball, it doesn't matter where it is, whether it's in communities or whether it's in municipalities,
yes,
it's just disrespected. If you look at the soccer fields, they're all over. They've even provided soccer with the 5-a-side small courts. With all this. They're all over the country. But when you look at where you are, the infrastructure for netball is definitely not there. If you go to schools also will tell you, no, we are paying this and we cannot allow you to use this for free and stuff like that. You end up just using the bad municipality courts that are there.
Yeah. How does all this challenges affect development of a young girl to move forward and progress to dizzy heights within the sport fraternity itself?
Well, if you look at, let's go back to the provision of netball courts. Now, in my team, I have over 50 players that come for training at one go. Now, if you have got 50 players that you are supposed to train and on one court, it means when you want them to play, only 14 out of the 50 will be working and are on court, and all others are going to be sitting and waiting to get a 10 to play there. Now, a child leaves home to come there for training and for preparation, but there's no space for them to be prepared in terms of that. So other than just the finance, now the provision of these courts also hinder the development of this, because we do have many coaches, but those coaches are also standing in one court because they cannot help those other ones because there's no space or there's no netball courts that are provided for them. So that's a big problem.
This is beyond sport. We say what they won't say. And I'm putting you on the spot.
Yes, definitely.
Of all the challenges you've mentioned, who should shoulder blame here? Is it the local government? Is it the Department of Sports, Arts, Recreation and Culture? Is it corporate not willing to step up to the plate?
Well, I think first is the mentality.
Okay.
The mentality of people. People always think that netball is nothing. There is no future in netball.
Okay.
While in actual sense, there's a lot that netball can provide for a child. Now, a simple child that has been trained on a netball court can actually get a bursary to go to university. Now, that's something.
Or scholarship.
A scholarship.
Go abroad.
Yes, definitely. Or go play internationally. Do you understand? Now, the municipality's mentality is that soccer is the in thing. So they provide for soccer in so many places, but they don't provide for netball. And if they do, it's just one court out of 10 courts, then it's not helping. So the municipality is at fault, one, and the provincial government is at fault because they also want to provide equipments here and there, but provide equipments for what type of infrastructure? Because they want to give you whistles and some type of attire, but where are you going to use all that? Okay, and obviously our mother body, which is Netball South Africa, is trying to say, let's have this happening, but remember they cannot speak into the government, into the local government to say, put more of this, because it's all dependent on budget and stuff. So at the end of the day, it's a blame game. The municipality will say, no, the provincial government will say, we have not been requested national and all this. So it's a matter of a blame game until we all change our mentality and we say, a girl child matters. Then you will understand. And if we say netball matters, then people will understand. You know that males now play netball. So if maybe more males come in, maybe it will be more vocal at that moment.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly. I like the fact that you are a deputy principal. You are within the academia. Doesn't it affect these young girls in terms of their studies? And if it does, what programs perhaps that you integrate to have them actually balance the two, the sport as netball as well as their academia?
Okay, a very good question. What we require from a player when they do come in, we want to know which school they are going to,
okay,
and what grade they are, so that we will be able to work around that.
Yes.
Now, as a teacher, I will be able to assist those kids that are struggling, particularly within their groups, because, like, for example, now we're in the exam area. We have said to them, you are not going to be training at this moment. You are going to go and focus on your
preparations,
school, particularly with the primary schools,
yes,
because these little ones will not know how to balance.
Okay.
Now, with the seniors, we speak to them and ask them to focus on their school and sport and balance it out. At the end of the term, everybody needs to bring their report so that we can actually have a look. Yes,
for assessment
to see how they are progressing on the academic world.
Remember,
we need to produce a netball player who is academically strong, who will be able to go to a university and represent us as a club, as a region, as a nation. So for us to do that, we need to make sure that the academic element is also pushed up, not just the playing. So it must be the playing and that, yes. And we do have players that are doctors, players that are different professions that will help children in different subjects just to assist them in progressing. I remember one child who had problems in Afrikaans. We've got one guy who's Afrikaans oriented, was actually assisting those that were struggling with the Afrikaans at school, because they do bring their homework on the courts sometimes. And we assist them so that they will be able to finish the homework and get on to playing the netball. Yes.
2023, it's a milestone in South Africa. We hosted one of the biggest netball showpieces in Cape Town. Your impression on that?
Well, that was the biggest event that I've ever witnessed in the country for me. Yes, we would have hosted the World Cup in 2010, but I was more excited with the 2023 Netball World Cup because that's my area.
Yeah, especially countries from all over the world coming to Cape Town.
Yes, for me it was a great milestone indeed. We did what we could. We could have maybe planned it better in terms of getting our girls to get into the top 3, you know. But it wasn't to be, because the world there have got professional players. Professional players meaning when they go out in the morning, they go and play netball and go back home, and they get paid for that. Yes. In South Africa, our players need to go and work. They need to go and work. After work, then they must come and practice for netball.
So basically, there are professional netball players in other countries.
Exactly.
They focus on that.
They focus on that. They get paid for playing netball. Our players don't get paid for playing netball. You know, they go and work. From working, they go and play netball in those few hours, and then go home. Then we select them. They come and play in the national championships. Now, only now, Cecilia Molokwani, the president of Netball South Africa, has pushed that the few that we have, which is about 24 players, those are getting paid for playing netball. But now, it's not fully professional, because some of them are still at school, some of them are still doing their own things here and there. So basically, until we get to that level, then we'll be able to compete and say we are in the top 3 or we are in the first in the world. Look at Australia, look at New Zealand. Yes. They're always in the top 2.
Very competitive.
Definitely.
Very competitive.
Unless we change our ways of doing things, and we've got corporate companies saying we are sponsoring the players, so that these players don't do any other job, but they get paid for playing netball. Then we won't have these players just running all over and stuff. Indeed. Now our players go overseas because they're going to get paid better there.
Looking for opportunities.
Exactly. And those opportunities are there. So let's provide the opportunities at home. And then you will see what it means to any player who's developing, because they want to fill up that game.
You think as a country we made an impact in hosting the Netball World Cup? it was you think it was a huge and a good positive spectacle to the world?
It was, and it is. Look, we are a netball nation in a way. We've been in the top 5 of the world.
The Proteas.
Exactly. So we could. We could. So hosting that, it just reminded Africa and the world that we still have an African giant in terms of this netball. So everybody came here. There's no other country that has hosted the World Cup in Africa. We are the first. We have gone into the history books as one nation that has achieved. Yes.
You are watching Biggie on Sport with my guest here, Neville, and he's the head coach of Johannesburg Central Netball Club. We are unpacking issues affecting netball in a country, especially with the focus on grassroots level. The TNL is currently taking place at Telkom Netball League. But before we get to that, I want to find out are there any players from your club who participated in the World Cup?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
We do have players that were identified for the World Cup. There is Kamogelo Masego, who is now in the national team.
Wow.
But now she's in Pretoria, in Tshwane.
Okay.
She's at school there.
Oh, because of schooling?
Yes, she's in school there.
I can imagine, yeah.
We also have Tale Mate, who was hurt last year, couldn't go to the World Cup because of that. But she was in line to do that.
Okay.
So, yeah, we big on netball.
Big.
You are big on sport, we are big on netball.
You are big on netball. The Telkom Nation Netball League is currently underway.
Yes.
It's taking place at Ellis Park. Are there any players from your side who are participating? But before you talk about players, let's talk about the TNL, how it has been structured. What's your impression?
Well, when they said Telkom Netball League,
yes,
when they said that word first,
yes,
to me it meant that this is now going to be a professional club championship. Because I thought it was going to be a league like you have your Kaizer Chiefs and,
exactly.
But unfortunately it changed to say provincial teams. So I thought it was going to be the teams that are in South Africa being seeded to play in the league. Then you'll have your A League and your B League and stuff, and transporting the teams to the leagues and stuff like that. That was my impression. But then the impression was wrong, because what they did is they took the provincial teams to go and play there. So for me, we lost an opportunity to have the clubs playing at that level. Then we had the province playing at that level. Maybe they wanted the standards to be higher. That's why they took the province. But I expected the clubs to be the ones going up.
Off the camera, you mentioned to me earlier on that we have 2 teams that are represented in this TNL tournament. You think is it sufficient enough? Is that enough to have such 2 teams representing us within the provincial tournaments in Gauteng?
Let me say no. It's not enough. To be frank with you, I think we need about 3 or 4 teams that are going to be represented.
Why do you think we have 2 teams?
We have 2 teams because we've been allocated 2 spots for TNL.
Okay, I see.
But looking at the talent that we have, we can actually have 4 teams there.
Okay.
Yeah, but unfortunately we don't decide that.
Okay.
Most of our players go and play in the other provinces. Like I've got players who are playing for Mpumalanga, players who are playing for Cape Town, Northern Cape, wherever. They go and play there because they are not going to be accorded an opportunity in Gauteng.
Wow.
Because the skills and the skills level at Gauteng is so high, such that it's not easy for any player who comes off from the grassroots to actually go up into the Jaguars team that is in Tshwane or the Fireballs here in Johannesburg.
In Johannesburg.
Yes. Jaguars is in Tshwane and Fireballs is based this side. So it's very difficult to get into that. So our players then feel like they cannot penetrate that. Then what they do is they go to whichever trials they have in Limpopo, in whatever. From our team, yes, we did have players that that go into TNL.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. At one point, we had about 8 players in the Limpopo Power-Ups team playing for them, but yet they all are resident this side.
Yeah.
And the same can be said with Sunbirds and all other teams around.
So they went to these provinces because of lack of opportunities around here.
Definitely.
How does that hamper on the players in terms of spirit, in terms of their spirits?
It's bad because players do go for trials. And when they don't make it and they know that they are good players, then it becomes a problem. Now you have a player that is disheartened, a player that does not want to play netball anymore because even if you go there, you don't get an opportunity because of the super players that are there. So at the end of the day, players really feel like, what's the point of playing netball because you're not going to get an opportunity. Some players will not be able to travel to go and trial in Mpumalanga or go and trial in, let's say, Northern Cape or something, you know. So they won't have those resources. So it means those players will get disheartened and just fall off.
These are young girls. Any psychosocial skills programs that you implement as an intervention, especially those ones who have their spirits being dampened by the fact that they cannot participate at any level whatsoever?
This is the reason why we actually bus them out to other provinces to make sure that now they don't break and fall off the netball fraternity. So we take them to those provinces when there are trials. And they go there and outshine some of the players there, and they get an opportunity to play. So the reason for that is just to make sure that we don't lose those players, because if we don't do that, we're going to lose them. So, and again, sometimes some of these provinces say we won't take players from outside. We want players that have been groomed in our region. So that's also discouraged.
What is the future of netball in South Africa?
Yeah, definitely the future is there, but obviously with the help of the sponsorship companies that can come in, private sector. If they can come in and rally up around the sport, then it's going to help. Because if you look at netball on its own without any assistance at the moment, we are going to just chop and change a lot of people, because people will also know that there is no stability in terms of staying in netball. So in terms of people want money, right? And obviously if there is no income that comes to players, because most of these players actually pay a lot to stay in netball. Now, if that does not change, then we are going to have only the willing people who have got the muscle to pay. Then, only then, you can survive. But otherwise, we are in a lot of trouble.
The appointment of the new Proteas coach, what's your impression on that? Apparently she's the former coach, a former player as well.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Jenny van Dijk.
Yeah, Jenny
For
van
me,
Dijk. Yeah.
She's my role model.
Okay.
In terms of the netball.
Okay.
She has actually won netball, I think, netball Telkom League, I think more than 5 times.
Okay. As a coach.
As a coach.
As a coach. Okay.
Yes, as a coach, and I've always marveled how she does that, and I've gone to her to actually watch her as she coaches.
Okay.
And obviously, she has had a lot of influence in my own coaching. So for me, I've always been writing even on Facebook to say, why is this coach not given an opportunity? Because for me, she has been the best ever that we have seen coach the national.
Yeah.
And now her being given that position, I like to say well done to Netball South Africa. They have actually chosen the right person for the job that needs to be carried out. We have been appointing coaches from outside as though we don't have quality in the country in terms of coaching. We have, and Jenny van Dijk for me is done the most. If you look, she was actually given an opportunity to go and coach the Botswana side, and she did so well. Botswana, when they played against South Africa, at one point I was like, what's going to happen now here? Because they were doing so well. Now I think she moved them from position 15, 20 to somewhere a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I think they're in top 8 or something.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't be doing justice to you and to this platform as well. But as a man who's wearing too many caps, this is your opportunity to speak to the viewers about other work that you do. I heard you are a pastor, a mentor, a deputy principal. Yeah. So just give us a blow-by-blow account.
All right. Let me start from this point. I also represent, and I'm an executive member of Chapman Save the Children Foundation.
Okay.
This was prompted by the fact that we have netball players who are not going to school.
Okay.
And we started this NGO to make sure we support.
Are they not going to school? What are the circumstances?
The circumstances that there's no school fees.
Okay.
There's no money to send them to school.
Wow.
They don't have uniform. They don't have. They can't enroll into a school because the schools will need them to pay. Now we end up taking those and assisting them to make sure that they do go to school. As I speak to you, we are supporting 2 children within the club.
Wow.
And one of them has actually written matric last year, and she did very well as well.
Wow.
Then there's 2 that we are still assisting. So that is one thing that we do. If you go on Facebook, you will see there is something written, Chapman Save the Children Foundation. Now, if you read there, you will also see the lady that we assisted during COVID. She was not working, and she had about 13 children that were staying in that house, and they were starving, and we had to come in and assist as much as we could. Yes, definitely. And obviously, we realized that most of these players cannot be able to buy outfits for the team. Now, we had to take this Chapman Save the Children Foundation to buy the outfits for the players. And we also got another company that assisted us in buying that outfit, so that these players don't actually pop out any money to actually buy kit that they're going to use in the club. Yes, that's one side.
Okay.
And then, yes, I'm a deputy principal of a school, Observatory Girls Primary School.
Wow.
And obviously, me being a deputy principal, I channel all my girls to be part of the club. So they, from school, we have their small training.
Okay.
Then we make them join the club. So they become our under 10, our under 12, under 13s, which translate into the senior players. So we promote them from under 10 to under 11 and that. So when they get into under 19, they are now in the seniors and open.
Okay.
So my job and my club is actually working together. And my principal understands that. Okay. You asked me something again?
Pastor?
Pastor. Oh yes, I am a pastor. I do, I'm a member of the 12 Apostolic Church.
I see.
And in South Africa alone, we have over 300 pastors. And I'm on the top 12 of those pastors. So we do have time to, sometimes when things happen on the netball court, I'm able to understand that, no, you know what, this child might be having this
challenges,
that, because, from church you get other experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, just under 5 minutes, I want you to speak to the viewers, the sponsorships, government, etc., about the importance of saving netball in our country.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much. Look, when we're looking at netball, we are saying every company needs to at least adopt a club and assist them as much as you possibly can. Company. The local government needs to rally around their own clubs. They need to be able to transport those clubs. Remember, the clubs are in sub-regions. So you can have Region A, Region B, Region C. All those government structures that are within that, they can actually help to transport these kids to different functions of netball, so that the parents don't get overburdened. Now, when we're talking to government, actually netball needs to be recognized and be given the same accolades and accord as soccer is being given. So if you have registered a club and it's known, there must be some kind of support that comes from the government to say, because you are developing this talent, because you are helping develop the nation, then this club must get this to develop the players in there. But otherwise, if that does not happen, we are still back on being dependent on the coaches and being dependent on the people that are down on the club. So we are actually calling for all government sporting departments, all government officials, even the president. And so they must look at the sport that we have in the country. Now, at this moment, we do not have a big place with a lot of netball courts that is in Gauteng, but we have a lot of teams. You know, we have got Ellis Park Stadium, we have got all these places for soccer. Why can't we have a stadium meant for netball and netball only?
Before I let you go, if people would like to get hold of you, on which social platforms they can find you?
Well, JCNC, Johannesburg Central Netball, is all over.
Okay.
We are on Facebook as Johannesburg Central Netball.
Okay.
If you look for us there, you'll find us. And if you look at my platform, and also there is Neville Chapepa on Facebook. We are also on, what do you call it?
Instagram?
Not Instagram.
TikTok,
yes, we are also there. Instagram as well, yes, you are right, we are also there.
Okay.
So you just look for JCNC, you will be able to find that. Thank you.
Well, Neville, thank you so much for making time and to join us right here in our studio, Biggie on Sport. As always, we say what they want to say, and I appreciate you taking time also listening and also viewing us. And please don't forget to like and share, as you can see on our social media platforms at the bottom of your screen. That's how we come to the end of it for today. And allow me to take this opportunity to say thank you to the content producer, Nontanta Ngomane, as well as the executive producer, JJ Mashasi. But not forgetting the greatest man behind the scenes. I'm talking about the team at JD Arts 24 Studios in North Clifford. Until then, sharp, sharp. Sharp, sharp.
Okay, if that's dependent on me.
Biggie on sports. He says what they won't say. Tune in, connect, and hear a different perspective.